What's up, guys? Welcome to this week's podcast. As you know, I'm Chris. This is Craig. And today we're going to talk about a few things, suppressors being one of them, and a couple of things on the new HQL things that have changed that a lot of people aren't aware of. Certain things you can and can't buy if you have an HQL. Craig?
Well, I wanted to give an update on Snope v. Brown. It went to conference on the 21st. I'm not sure what exactly happened to that, but it was posted again for conference on the 28th. So hopefully Monday, Tuesday, we'll be able to see what happened with that, whether it actually got picked up or not, or we're going to have another scheduled for conference. This is the 6th time it's been scheduled for conference. So they're pretty consistent.
So we'll hear something tomorrow or Tuesday, you're saying?
Most likely. I mean, if nothing happens, they'll just probably reschedule it for another conference again.
Oh.
So, but it's already been scheduled now 6 times.
Depends if it's the agenda, I guess.
So it keeps coming up. That's
probably
good.
Where do you realistically think we're at this point with that? Like, do you think it's gonna?
I believe that Justice Thomas wants to take this up. I think he's just got to get the necessary support for it. I'm just totally speculating here, but we're really pushing this into conference a lot. So hopefully at some point they will pick this up and get this taken under consideration, because it's a big
There's a lot
case
going on. I didn't understand the whole process of how all of that works. I'm actually still learning it. I know you know it very well, but I just thought, hey, there's an issue, let's take it to court. But I had no idea that they had hundreds or thousands of issues that they had to kind of draw out of a hat what they were or weren't going to hear. That's pretty wild.
Well, there's literally thousands of cases before them every term or every session. So they're going to be able to probably take a blended amount of cases. They're not going to just do all 2A cases. So I think ones like Bruin that came out that was a landmark decision. Last year they took Rahimi, and that was a not so great case for the 2A community because that guy was a piece of shit. So probably wasn't the greatest case for them to take up. But fingers crossed.
Good. Well, I guess we'll find out the next time you guys play this. We'll have either a yay, nay, or hey, we've been put off yet again. So
if something positive happens Monday, Tuesday, we should just do a quick update.
Yeah, we will give you guys an update if something positive happens. So keep your fingers crossed and keep beating on your local government at any opportunity you possibly get to scream in their face, I'm an American, I have rights, and yeah. We'll just leave it at that. I don't want to go too far into that, get myself in trouble. So one of the big things I wanted to bring up right now, this past week, I've been in and out of my shop. The guys have been doing a great job running things, but something that has skyrocketed over the past, 60 to 90 days, especially now recently within the last couple of weeks, have been suppressor sales. And what a lot of folks don't understand, and I'm kind of surprised by this, but they don't understand that, hey, I can buy a 30 cal suppressor and use that for my 308, my 5.56, my blah, blah, blah. Keep in mind, 5.56 will not suppress very well unless it's a can designed for 5.56 because it's such a high pressure, but it does, it really does do, even a 30 cal can suppresses it a fair amount. And it makes it a lot more comfortable to shoot. But so those of you out there that have, we get a lot of questions. Oh, I have a 350 Legend. What do I do? And I tell everybody to look at something like the rugged Alaskan 360, which you can get a new front cap for it and do everything down to a 22, or get a 45. Obviously you can't get a handgun can and put that on a rifle with a piston in there. You won't get very far with that. But anyway, where it used to take a month and a half, I mean, we're getting people turned around now in 2 or 3 days once everything is submitted. We do everything digitally. It's so a lot of shops that have the kiosk try to sell you on the fact that that kiosk is like the savior, when in reality it's not. I mean, any shop that's set up digitally, you come in, you tell us what suppressor we want, or you want. If we don't have it in stock, we order it for you. 9 out of 10 times, it takes longer to get the suppressor to your whatever store you're using, because it has to be Form 3, and you set up everything on your account with whatever digital service that place is using, and then you come back in, recertify your documents, that gets sent in 2 or 3 days later, you have your suppressor. So it's a 10 to 14 day process versus a year and a half. And we've probably had, I would say 60-70% of the people that come in that think it's still going to take months or years to get a suppressor, and that's just not the case anymore. I feel like they've gotten more reasonable. What do you think?
They did. They had a person come in, to my understanding, and fix what was broken. So they had a huge pile of pending forms, and they took them in order. So if somebody got something wrong on the background or they hit a snag, everybody else that was behind them waited. But that was the only decent thing that came out of the ATF under the Biden administration, is somebody came in and actually fixed that. So now somebody getting held up on background isn't affecting the other ones, and they're able to move through them, because I believe Congress wanted to do something because of the time it was taking to process those applications, and that's why they went in and put somebody in there new, and they figured out what was wrong and fixed it. So it realistically shouldn't take that long. That's actually faster than what the state of Maryland's actually being able to approve things for. Like my permit took, I can't remember, 45 days.
What about your renewal?
That's what I'm talking about. The
45 days for a renewal.
45 absurd. Days it took them to renew my carry permit.
That is freaking absurd. I mean, it should take days. I mean, everything is online. I mean, what is their argument with everything being online if they're still taking the amount of time it would take if it were on paper? I mean, and you're not a new person. I mean, you've never been in trouble. So why in the hell does it take 45 days to process a renewal? That's insane.
Well, that's a good question, considering you can get an NFA item in a couple weeks. So
wow,
doesn't bode well for Maryland.
Now, when you got your suppressors, which I know you're still waiting to pick them up all together, they're going to start getting rent charges in the safe. But anyway, what made you go with the Dead Air over the Rugged for your 30 cal?
Well, we're talking, what, 2023?
They've been there for a minute.
Wait,
just so you all know what's going on here, he ordered his suppressors well over a year ago, and they've just been sitting there collecting dust. He just hasn't felt like dealing with it. So anyway, that's what we're talking about. But he got the Dead Air Sandman S, which is extremely hard to get. And you did get a Rugged. Your 556 is Rugged.
Yeah, and back to what you were saying earlier with the Rugged. The nice thing with the Rugged is it was actually internally capable of the 308, up to 308. It was just the end cap was different.
Really?
Even though it was marked 556, it still had the internal dimensions.
So are all their 556s like that?
That I don't know. It's just the one I bought, it said that, they were still the same size as your 308 762.
That's pretty cool. That's a good.
It just had a different end cap on it.
Well, and that's another. I'm actually glad you brought that up. Some of the suppressors are, you can't take them apart to clean them. They're unserviceable. But to make things worse, there are suppressors. I guess not worse. It depends if you're buying the suppressor specifically for that gun. But for instance, we got the Yankee Hill Bad Larry. My son and I did. And you cannot, there's no removable front cap. So if you want to, we have it on a 338, that's what it's designed for. But if I wanted to shoot it out of a 22 or 6.5 Creedmoor, I can't take that front cap off and put a smaller front cap on it. So that's something else to consider when you're shopping for suppressors. Whereas the Ruggeds, I know all of them, are capable of taking the front cap off and getting a different front cap. And, you know, I believe the caps are pretty inexpensive. Is your Sandman removable in the front? I believe it is.
Yeah, I think so. The reason I went with the particular one from Dead Air was because it was meant to go on the 300 Blackout pistol. It's got the 5-inch barrel. That was I can't remember, a 7-inch?
Your suppressor?
Yeah.
Just over, it's like 7.2.
Yeah, something like that. So altogether, it's going to be, 12 inches.
Yep.
Maybe a little over 12 inches.
Like-
So I wanted that for the 300 Blackout pistol specifically.
So the rugged front caps are, about $45 is the average cost. So that's pretty sweet. I mean, to be able to swap that
Yeah.
rugged around. So I'm going to have to check that. I'm literally going to get in the shop tomorrow, take that front cap off, and I'm going to be measuring those holes in that.
And if I remember correctly, because it's been so long, they had different end caps as well. They had ones for flash suppression, and I think they, yeah, it was a weird
where
one.
it had the prongs coming
Yeah.
out of it. Yep, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's, I'm not sure if that's an option anymore, but anyway, rugged are nice. If you're on a financial strain, the Yankee Hills are a great suppressor for the money. Most of them, though, are unserviceable. I mean, you clean them by putting them in an ultrasonic cleaner, but obviously Dead Air, rugged, and then if money's not an issue and you just don't care about money, then you can go get yourself a Silencer Co. Aren't they the ones with the military contract, or am I thinking of somebody else?
You're probably thinking of Surefire, Huxworth.
Surefire, that's it. Yeah, Surefire. I know they're nice, but I don't feel like they're worth the money. I really don't. The amount of suppressors that we sell and see in the shop, and just seeing them firsthand and seeing people shooting them at the ranges. Skylar shot a Surefire, and I did not think it was any quieter than the rugged. I really didn't. And they're $1,200, $1,300, $1,400, $1,500 now. And it's simply because they have a military contract. They're like SIG. We got a military contract, jack our prices up 30% because we don't need these commercial people, but if they want to pay it, we'll produce it.
Well, some of it is, the name. Some of it's, they've got the contracts and the history, the quality control. Some of that you're going to pay for. If you want something that's really, really good, it's got good quality control, that's going to cost. Materials. So
Yeah.
you go to a Yankee Hill versus, say, a Surefire or a Huxworks. I mean, that's...
Huxworks aren't even remotely as expensive as Surefire. They're in the $600 to $700 range. Some are 8 or 9, but for the most part, they're just a step above the ruggeds, and as far as the price factor goes. Now, I've not seen a Hux. I've not actually played with one or messed with one, except for a 3D printed one, and I'm still a little sketched out on the 3D printed stuff. Not sure how I feel about that.
Well, they were all, trying to eliminate gas back to the face. So they had the flow-through design. Now, a lot of suppressor manufacturers are trying to go through the flow-through design now.
Yeah, it just concerns me with the 3D printed stuff. The overall longevity of something like that. That's we do a lot of 3D printing. Skylar's constantly 3D printing, and everything is all about the layers and the layer adhesion. And if you're heating that thing up, that many times that quick, with that amount of pressure in it, I just don't see these 3D printed ones. And I could be totally wrong. We need to get one, and we need to go run a torture test on it. And maybe we'll find a torture test online, see if they're worth it. So anyway, leave something in the comments if you have one or if you know much about them, or what your favorite suppressor is.
Yeah, another quick thing to add to that was support. Support's extremely important as well when you're getting a suppressor. I think one of the reasons why I chose Dead Air and the rugged, even though rugged was a less expensive option, I think they had extremely good support. There were stories in there about people that lost a suppressor to a fire and they sent them back and they actually took care of it. Just things like that, just like things you wouldn't think that would be covered You know, so when you buy a suppressor, look at the company and how well they stand behind it and what they take care of. Because some things you wouldn't think they would take care of, some companies actually take care of you.
Yeah, we had a 9mm that was missing the spring and the piston. When the customer come in to look at it to do his paperwork, they overnighted me the new spring. It wasn't 3 to 5 days, 7 to 10 days. They overnighted a new spring, just like that. I mean, they're an incredible company.
Yeah, look, you're not down anymore. If you get something in even 2 or 3 days, that's great.
Yeah.
You know, if you send something into a company, do you want that company to take 2 or 3 weeks to look at it and then tell you this is what we got to do, and then it's another 2-3 weeks? Or do you want to send it in and just get something shipped back out in like 2 days?
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't heard of many horror stories yet with some suppressor companies, but I mean, we're kind of new at it as far as the longevity of messing with them. You know, we sell a lot of them. They're moving very fast. They're a lot easier to purchase now. They're a lot more affordable for the most part. So it's a market that's really starting to take off, and hopefully it becomes something that is over the counter and it's no longer an NFA item. I mean, who decides what's an NFA item and who's not if the ATF is not allowed to make laws?
Well, that was all part of the NFA. So in order to get that back to being a non-regulated item like that, it would have to go through Congress at this point. So there is legislation out there that people keep introducing now. Before, when Biden was in office, it was feel-good legislation. There was no way they were going to get anything like that done. So the Hearing Protection Act, I think is what it's called, it's in Congress. It has a much better chance at going through under Trump right now than it did under Biden. So
yeah, that's a good way of putting it too. Hearing protection. I like it.
I mean, it is realistically.
Yeah, I mean,
people are not using suppressors to go out and murk people.
No, you know, and something else that they're great for is if you hunt near any farms, it does not freak the cattle out as much as a gunshot does. You know, when a gunshot's going off at 10 after 5 in the morning, you know, hunting deer, that isn't going to be near as bad as, you know, the thunder coming out of nowhere that the animals don't sense any storms or anything. And I know Michelle, my wife, you know, her family had a farm down in Frederick County, and we would hunt down there, and it would freak the cows out all the time when we would shoot. So, you know, that's another situation where suppressors would be great. I mean, yeah, they might spook a little bit still, depending on the gun, but nothing like it, you know, like it was before. And you're not waking everybody up within a half-mile radius with a 30-06 going off. So anyway, yeah. So
I think it's about time to wrap this one up.
all right. Take care, guys. We'll see you next week.
Later.